Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, what is going on? This is the Club of Demand 1993, and we are here live for my live review of last night's episode of AEW Dynamite, the August 10th, 2022 episode. The episode known as Quake by the Lake, which took place at the Target Center in Minneapolis, Minnesota. Personally, I gotta say, that main event match, whew, we will talk about that main event match. And overall, this show was, let me tell you something. One of my good friends was telling me like a couple days ago that, of course, it may be just, it was just a shift in direction with WWE. Gaining all this momentum with Triple H taking over creative. A lot more superstars are getting a direction on that show. Things are looking up. And there's no doubt about it, I'm going to be honest too, there's been a little more interest in the WWE product than the AEW product. AEW's still been good, but obviously with the stars that have been out injured, and the shift in momentum and whatnot, it's very obvious that AEW lost a little bit of steam for a few weeks. This episode, though, it kind of felt like, okay, bring on, game. Bring on. Let's play the game. Because this was a really, really good episode. I mean, I was close to giving it an A-. I gave it a B+ because, stuff in between was solid. But that coffin match and that main event, and of course, that return at the end. Oh boy. And the build we have, of course, for next week as well. I can't hate on this show at all whatsoever. I gotta believe that Tony Khan is ready to put up the fight. He is gonna have fun with this. A man who loves wrestling is now working against a man for the biggest company in the world who also enjoys wrestling as well. So this was a really, really good episode for Dynamite. Especially, to really, get some more momentum going for All Out and everything. Like, this was a really good episode because that same friend of mine who first said, I'm not really interested in All Out right now he's invested because of this episode and because of that main event. Holy smokes. Of course, we did get some bad news, though, regarding the women's division. And we'll talk about that when we get to it. But, yeah, we got some things to talk about for sure. So let's get on rolling and talk about this stuff. But first, I see we have a little bit of an active live chat, which, again, I personally do want to thank my audience. We've had a very lively live chats lately. And, with a good live chat, great discussions, it's definitely made these streams a lot more fun lately, with more energy into them, and I thank you guys for sure. Of course, we got Mark, Tyler, Wrestling News 365, you guys are reasons why, and again, I thank you. I'm doing great, Mark, how about yourself? Tyler's back here. Wrestling News 365, if Johnny Gargano does debut, where do you think he debuts at in All Elite Wrestling? Oh boy, I mean, the obvious answer would be a pay-per-view at All Out. But I'm not going to lie. I am still kind of hoping he goes back to WWE. I mean, as fresh of a roster as he would have to work in AEW. If he goes to AEW, the one match I want to see, no doubt about it, is him and Bryan Danielson. That's still a dream match of mine I want to see. Two guys I looked at as purebred baby faces, ultimate underdogs. I want to see that match happen. But part of me wants him to go back to the WWE because Triple H is there. Tommaso Ciampa's still there. And again, the problem is, and there's some talents who voice that, I've heard rumors of voice that, they're realizing that, how cluttered AEW is because there's a little too much talent now. WWE, again, is an open door now. There's opportunities for you to shine too. It's not just like, it's not like, again, Cody Rhodes is there now. It's not like he's a big fish in a small pond. The pond's expanding. because Triple H is allowing the talent to be recognized. So I would say if he goes to AEW, maybe All Out, he'll debut. If not, though, I still think he should go back to WWE. I really think I'm still leaning more towards WWE right now for Johnny, in my opinion. Tyler did a review on this, also said the main event was the best match of the night. Oh, by far, yes. Let me say this way. I'll give you a little spoiler alert. If you consider that main event match last night a match of the year candidate, I don't blame you at all. I agree. I definitely think that's a match of the year candidate. Mark knew he was coming back. This set up for a title match that's going to happen in his hometown, which of course is Punk versus Moxley. We'll talk about that, of course. Wrestling News 365 heard rumors today that it at All Out it will be Punk versus Moxley. We're going to take all. AEW is turning into WCW with Herring. Not sure what he means by that, but we'll see. Let's roll in, though, and talk about the show, because it is almost midnight, so I do want to get to bed, even though I might do a Seinfeld review or two before I go to bed, depending on how I'm feeling after this review. But let's roll in and talk about this episode of Dynamite. We open up the show with this coffin match with Darby Allin and Brody King. Let me mention this to you. So, Brody King has kind of been getting a little bit more of like a singles push lately, because both Buddy Matthews was out injured. He returned here. And Malachi Black was also dealing with somewhat of a back injury. So Brody King kind of had his chance to shine as a single star. Personally, I think he can be a single star someday. I mean, again, I've not seen any of his workhorse before AEW, but I've definitely been very impressed with his singles run and this feud with Darby. I really, of course, again, like that promo that they had last week, hyping up this coffin match, hyping up how, Darby's the reason why Brody is here, and of course the storyline how anytime Brody is beating Darby is because he's basically like choked him out while hanging him by the rope, which looked like a sick maneuver. And this coffin match too was outstanding. It's obvious to me. Well, I'll save it after talking about the match. But this match goes awesome. The storytelling and everything. Again, we had, of course, lights going out. We had Buddy Matthews and Malachi Black returning. Julia Hart also came out and tripped Darby Allin as well. And it looked like, of course, that Darby Allin was doomed. But then, of course, it got a little strange, though, because Malachi Black kind of, ventured off at, a strange time in the match as well. But it actually happened after, I think, Buddy Matthews went to open up the coffin, and Sting had returned for the first time since he got sprayed in the face by Malachi Black, and, of course, represented with the black spot around his eye. He returned, and I think he brawled with Matthews, but then he had kind of a stare down tease with Malachi Black, which Malachi Black versus Sting, I don't know if they're going to be doing that or if they're going to be doing Malachi Black and Miro, because they're kind of having a storyline going both angles, or if it's just a tease for an eventual match with Malachi Black and Sting, but that would be an outstanding match. But again, it was weird because I remember there was a time where Malachi kind of ventured away though, and it just got a little strange. But eventually he got away, and then storytelling wise, a chain came into play, and then Darby looked to be doomed at first and going to be losing the match, but instead he reverses it and chokes out Brody King with the chain, exactly how Brody King put Darby Allin in the submission maneuver every time he's gotten the win over Darby in this feud. And just off of impact from, passing out to, being choked by the chain, Brody just fell off the apron and right perfectly into the coffin. And as soon as he fell in, it was enough impact to shut the coffin for Darby to get the win. Very excellent of a storytelling match. I mean, yeah, the wrestling moves were great, but the storytelling was off the charts. Definitely the second best match of the night for sure. Again, my only gripe about this is again, I get it. They're probably making it Darby's match, the coffin match, but is it just me, or have we seen too many coffin matches already? Like, that was kind of why last week I was saying maybe give, like, Brody King the win here instead for something different. But, you know, I think this match did what it needed to do. We may want to take a break from the coffin matches, though, because the coffin matches are going to have, like, an are starting to get a little too obvious that Darby's winning them. Again, spread them out a little bit more, I think, in my opinion. But I'm not going to complain again. This was an outstanding match. Like I said, Brody King definitely like won me a little more over as a single star. I think he's going to be, have him and Wardlow fight for the TNT title, actually. They'd be a great match. Like, he's got a lot of potential for a big man. Or even Brody King and Keith Lee also I'd like to see as well. Very good stuff for sure. So definitely props to both these men for a great match. We have Jon Moxley cuts a promo. He was basically kind of saying he was tired of hearing the word interim about him being world champion. He says they have the FTW belt, so what if he calls the interim title the FYI title? The title is about pain and how much you can endure, and for over 2 decades, we've seen the last survivor of the Hart Dragon, Lionheart Chris Jericho, and tonight he's going to test him and push him to his breaking point. And if his fighting spirit doesn't break, his body will. I think sure enough, his body did break in that main event match. And then Chris Jericho has a promo, which of course he had completely shaved his beard and everything. He talks about how he's going to take back what is rightfully his in the main event tonight. Mox wants Lionheart. He wants the last survivor. Be careful what you wish for, because Stu Hart was a violent, vicious sadist, and he's going to stretch Mox and become the next AEW World Champion. And then we have the bracket revealed for the trios tournament starting next week. And the match next week we're going to get is Andrade El Idolo, Dragon Lee, and Rush take on the Young Bucks and their partner, whoever that may be. Of course, there's 2 people in mind, but one of them said no. We'll talk about that in a little bit, but I think it's pretty obvious that some other big name is coming back next week. We'll talk about that in a second, though. We have La Facción Ingobernable, Andrade El Idolo, and Rush taking on the Lucha Bros, Penta El Zero Miedo, and Rey Fenix in a tornado tag match. Fun match. Definitely, I would say it might be my 3rd favorite match of the night, but it was definitely a very awesome thing. Again, Rush, has mostly a lot of singles matches so far. Not been too bad, but I feel like the best came out of him in this match when he teamed with Andrade El Idolo. And definitely they want to have them as a tag team, or, like the trios tag champions, which they're not winning the match next week. I'm sorry, they're not. But I like what I saw. And of course, there was a spot in the match where they tied up Penta's mask to the ropes, and Penta had to literally unmask himself to make the save in the match. But then Andrade stomps his head to stop him from getting his spare mask, and then Jose attacked Alex Abrahantes, and then Rush sent Penta to the floor. Phoenix tried to do a roll, but it wasn't enough, as he was then double teamed, and then Andrade then hits the hammerlock DDT on Rey Fenix to get the win. Now, their opponents, the Young Bucks, were approaching the Dark Order's locker room. They went to talk to Hangman Adam Page about being their tag team partner in the Trios tournament. The Bucks wanted the whole world to see them thanking him for saving them last week. And they're not proud of how they've treated him. The best time, though, in their lives, though, was when the Elite were running together and building AEW. And then everything, of course, got weird. And they apologize, and they mean it. And this building is special because it's where Hangman won the world title. And he wanted so badly to congratulate him, but he couldn't. They couldn't, and now they don't know what he is. Maybe the Bucks think they're bad. The Bucks think that maybe they're bad people, but Hangman brings out the best in them, and they want him to be their trios tag partner next week in the trios titles tournament. But Hangman apologizes, says he'd love to, but he can't. He knows Matt was proud, but he knows that the Bucks were proud, but the Dark Order were actually there and had been his friends, and this trios tournament is their chance to shine, and he wants to be in their corner during the tournament. So he wants to support them, but he also wants to support the Dark Order. And the Bucks say no worries, and of course Brandon Cutler obviously their partner thing, but they tell him to shove and turn off the camera. So I think, because again the rumors were speculating, and I've heard that AEW was not going to bring in the trios tag titles until Kenny Omega was ready. Now, rumors have it, apparently, Hangman, though, was on standby in case if Kenny was not ready. But I do like that they've used that as like a test and a swerve to trick us to see if maybe not make it so obvious at first that if Kenny's coming back or not. But I think he is. So I think next week we're going to be seeing, maybe in the main event. Well, I don't know if it'll main event, because we're also going to be getting Bryan Danielson and Daniel Garcia in a 2 out of 3 falls match next week also, which I think should also be good, even though I'm still not quite getting Daniel Garcia. But I think that trios tag match is going to be the main event. And again, where we will most likely see the return of Kenny Omega, since he dropped the AEW World Title to Hangman Adam Page at Full Gear last November. We'll see, though. Jungle Boy then comes out on commentary to watch Luchasaurus win a squash match. Afterwards, though, Christian Cage appeared on the Tron, slow clapping, congratulating Luchasaurus, and says he was going to come beat Jungle Boy up, but Minneapolis don't deserve to see him in person. To which Jungle Boy, of course, gets up and runs off and goes to attack him backstage, but the crew managed to get in his way to block him off again to Christian Cage. But then, of course, Luchasaurus came in and just chokeslammed everyone and even headbutted Pat Buck. But, of course, it was too late as Christian Cage got away. Before, of course, the main event scene made official for All Out, that's still probably the match I'm probably excited the most for right now, is Christian Cage and Jungle Boy. That will be an awesome match. Let me see here. We also have Miro cutting a promo in a dark room with which I love the lighting and everything in it, about how Malachi Black has dragged him into the dark, but hell was empty because all the devils were here. Julia Hart, though, appears and asks him to embrace the gift, and Miro grabs her hand and says there's only one woman gets to touch him, but he accepts the gift of the pageants and he'll use it to destroy them. Which is still wondering, which direction they're really going. It's like I said, because Malachi Black is teasing a match with Sting, but there's also this thing with Miro going on too. So again, is Miro going to fight Malachi, or is he going to join Malachi? And yet another tease that CJ Perry could be coming in. I want Lana to come in so bad. We'll see though, maybe, because again, and that's the thing too with Johnny. There's some people. Like Claudio Castagnoli, he's been signed for, longer than we thought. Because originally he was signed to come in and, still have that ROH World Title match at that recent ROH pay-per-view. But, with what happened with Bryan Danielson, they brought him in soon to fight Zack Sabre Jr. So, they could have, Bray Wyatt or Johnny Gargano or even CJ Perry signed. They just are waiting to bring them in. But we'll have to wait and see, of course. We have a segment with Will Hobbs and the Factory hyping up a match against Ricky Starks, and then Sonjay Dutt, Jay Lethal, and Satnam Singh come out, and then they claim how they chokeslam Wardlow, and they're not at Battle of the Belts, and they're not done with him. Lethal says they sent the message last Saturday to either defend the TNT title against Jay one more time, or they'll take it from him. In which Wardlow comes out and says, Lethal, you want another shot? You got it, but tonight He's whooping all their asses. And out comes back up in FTR, which of course the crowd pops for them. And then of course the heels leave the ring. And then Lethal tries to slide in and blindside Wardlow, but he catches him. And FTR hit the big rig on him. So I guess we're getting that rematch, wherever that may be. I didn't get to see Battle of the Belts. Then we have an interview with the Jericho Appreciation Society. Matt Menard and Angelo Parker talk about Jericho's inevitability victory and their party room, which was a fondue pie and a little bit of the bubbly to celebrate Jericho becoming AEW World Champion. Daniel Garcia also says how Bryan Danielson should thank him for giving him a paid vacation, and he owns him. Again, to hype up that Danielson will be returning on Rampage this coming Friday. And again, him and Garcia are having a 2 out of 3 falls match next week. Anna Jay, though, walks off the screen, comes back with some poor girl to choke her out screaming. So I guess Anna Jay is really choking people out now. Scary. We didn't get a video package built towards this match with Aaron Solo of the Factory and Ricky Starks, who basically beats him quickly with a spear. But afterwards, Starks celebrates while Will Hobbs smashes a TV backstage. So angry. Still don't know why he turned on Ricky Starks, but again, I'm definitely loving this new momentum that Ricky Starks has as a babyface, which I'm definitely interested in for sure. We also have the Ass Boys interview backstage. And Danhausen rolls up and says he'll see them Friday night. Can't remember who he's teaming with, the face them, though. And also we have a segment with Best Friends and the Trustbusters, which is Ari Daivari, or formerly Aria Daivari, Slim J, and Parker Bordeaux, which is Parker Bordeaux Harland, who was an NXT 2.0, I think. Basically, they're involved in some sort of a match on Rampage, but I really don't care. Orange Cassidy, though, did tell him off. And then we have a TBS title with Jade Cargill and newcomer Madison Rayne, which, wasn't too bad. Cargill, though, of course, gets the victory. We go 36-0. Afterwards, though, Athena slides into the ring and attacks Cargill until Kiera Hogan makes a save. And I guess we're going to be getting Athena and Jade Cargill at All Out, where Athena will probably hand Jade Cargill her first loss. Excellent. But then we also have this segment backstage involving the Women's Championship. Thunderstorm. Thunder Rosa and Toni Storm are talking about Toni Storm being the new number 1 contender because apparently Chris Statlander got injured on an episode of Dark. Apparently her knee buckled, so it means that she may have re-injured her knee. Because she did, like a year or 2 ago, 2 years ago because it was right before Double or Nothing 2020. Yeah, she was supposed to face Britt Baker at Double or Nothing 2020, but then she injured her knee. But apparently, she originally was supposed to fight Thunder Rosa at All Out, which would have been interesting because the crowd definitely has really gotten behind Chris Statlander, and I like Chris Statlander too. After she kind of had this gimmick change where she took off the alien makeup, it was just her. And of course, people say that she got a lot of momentum when she was cheered over Ruby Soho in that quarterfinals match for the Women's Owen Hart Cup tournament. But now that she's injured, Toni Storm's number 1 contender again. And Thunder says this isn't what she wanted, but these things happen. And Storm says she's going to keep her momentum going and win the title. Thunder says that she'll be in her corner, but as for the title, they'll talk about that later. So I don't know what's going to happen with the women's world title, because I'd hate to see Toni Storm lose 2 pay-per-views in a row. I don't know, maybe we'll do a triple threat, maybe Thunder Rosa, Britt Baker, and Toni Storm, maybe for something different or something. I don't know. But because I think the whole point of the reason why we thought Britt was getting a title shot because Jamie Hayter pinned won the tag match. I think it was last week before. But Thunder Rosa, I think, did face Jamie Hayter, I think. But I can't remember if the women's title was on the line on Rampage. I didn't watch Rampage. But we'll see, of course, where it goes. Sure. But yeah, that definitely sucks for Chris Statlander. 2 knee injuries. She might be out long term again, but that really sucks. So we'll see what happens with her, but definitely pray for a good recovery. But then we get the main event, which was, again, for the AEW World Championship, Jon Moxley versus Lionheart Chris Jericho. And, of course, this was Jericho Moxley 2 in AEW, as this is technically a rematch from Revolution 2020 when Moxley first dethroned the first ever AEW World Champion. Let me tell you guys something. If you consider this match, as I said earlier, if you consider this match a match of the year candidate, I don't blame you. Definitely agree this was, I mean, their match at Revolution was good. This was even better than that match. This was outstanding. This was a classic, I thought. One of the best and most gruesome matches, besides maybe Britt and Thunder Rosa, with their Lights Out match last year. One of the most brutal matches we've seen on AEW Dynamite, for sure. This was outstanding. They were doing some simple stuff at the beginning, but then, of course, I think things really started to turn up whenever Chris Jericho pulled out Jon Moxley's earring. And that's when the blood started to come in. But there was so much involved there. There was a lion salt that wasn't enough, and that Moxley counted into a cross armbar. We had an Avalanche Frankensteiner, a ring post figure 4 in there. So many close breakups right there, and close near falls as well. A diving axe handle to the floor into a mounted punches. Moxley even kicked out of a code breaker we got there. We got them even more busted. But again, when I saw that the entrance was starting for this match at 9:31, I'm like, okay, they're either going to give this match a lot of time, or something big is happening after this match. Like, you can tell there was a big feel to this, for sure. Even so, again, Moxley still wouldn't stay down, as during the match, I thought they had said that they were just trying to build up that Sammy Guevara was not there, because him and Ty Conchi, well, they were advertised her as Ty Mello for Rampage tomorrow, but her and Sammy did get married. Congratulations to America's favorite couple, of course, as they call them. But Sammy actually did appear in the crowd, and he tossed Jericho Floyd when the referee wasn't looking. As Jericho did try ripping off the turnbuckles, and then Aubrey Edwards was preoccupied with the turnbuckles. But while Aubrey was distracted, Jericho, of course, caught Floyd after Sammy tossed him into the ring, and cracked Moxley in the head with the bat. But Moxley still kicked out. Moxley, of course, got the sleeper hold on, but Jericho fought him off and threw him into the exposed turnbuckle. And here's the thing. He not only threw Moxley into the exposed turnbuckle, then hits him with the Judas effect. Moxley still kicked out. Is Moxley the only person, I think, to kick out of the Judas effect? I think so. I mean, I can't remember if he did it at Revolution or not, but I feel like he's the only one that's kicked out of the Judas effect. And, of course, Jericho got hold of the title belt, but then Edwards berated him for it. But then Moxley then steps him right into the post, and then puts a sleeper hold on the Jericho, who was getting busted open from crashing into the ring post. There was even, I think, a time or two whenever Jericho, before one of the commercial breaks, where Jericho had Moxley in the walls of Jericho, and I just got Steve Austin, Bret Hart vibes. Even also towards the end, wherever Jericho had Moxley in the Lion Tamer, the same move that got Wheeler Yuta to tap out last week. Again, with the blood and everything involved in this match, I'm like, this is making me think of Austin and Bret Hart from WrestleMania 13. But, of course, Moxley's neck was twisted and distorted, but he was able to reverse it to a hold, And then he got Jericho on his stomach, and Moxley just nailed him with elbows to the back of his neck constantly, and then gets him trapped in a body scissors and a sleeper hold. And it looked like some sleeper holds look like they're just wear out an opponent. This one looked like it legitimately hurt with the blood and everything. He got Jericho to tap out, which again, not many people get Jericho to tap out. And it was over, and Moxley retained. Again, for talking crap on this, well, I was glad they did this on a live TV and not at the pay-per-view, because I thought that would have been a dumb idea to do. This was well worth it if you really wanted to put Moxley over big. One, having story come full circle with Jericho finally getting his rematch for the AEW World title. But this was by far their best match. And like I said, I don't blame you if you thought this was a match of the year candidate. This was just gruesome, and it was awesome. But then, of course, this match ended at like 9:52, 9:54, so I'm like, okay, something's happening. There were two things I thought was going to happen. The one thing I thought happened that didn't happen, of course, I thought maybe this could be when MJF returns. He did not return, because I had heard some rumors about who actually did return, of him still having like ice and a boot on at like his media appearances he's had recently. But then, of course, the rest of the Jericho Appreciation Society came out and started brawling, and then the came of the Blackpool Combat Club came and started brawling. It was random, but it was a little useless. But then, of course, you hear the music, and yes, it happened. CM Punk returned from injury, and he came out and took out each member of the Jericho Appreciation Society. And, of course, even taking out Jericho with a lariat. He didn't hit the GTS, though, but afterwards, he just stares down Moxley, who struggles to get to his feet. And then when he gets up and turns around, they are face to face. And, of course, we've seen Moxley and Jericho give each other the bird. But then Moxley flips off Jericho. Moxley flips off Punk. And then storms out, even going shoulder to shoulder, and leading with the Blackpool Combat Club. And of course, Moxley hops around the ring on one foot to show that he's good to go. He's 100% healthy. And again, looks like we got our main event for All Out. Jon Moxley, AEW Interim World Champion, versus CM Punk, AEW World Champion. Undisputed Championship at All Out in Punk's hometown. That's going to be crazy. I cannot wait. That match would sold my one friend who was not at first interested in All Out. Now he's sold and interested. Oh man, what a show. What an ending. Like that main event and then Punk returning was just great. Because they didn't make it obvious he was coming back. But something was happening. Yeah, I thought either he was coming back or MJF was coming back. But it was obviously going to set up for the next challenge. And of course, I like this story how, Moxley is tired of being referred to as the interim world champion. As the interim world champion. And he wants to prove that he's not just an interim champion. He is a true champion. But that's going to be a great story. And that match with Punk and Moxley at All Out, it's going to be outstanding. I cannot wait. That's Dynamite. I gave the B+. The opening match and the main event were definitely the two best matches of the night. Main event match was definitely a match of the year candidate. Stuff in the middle was good. Didn't quite hit an A- show for me, but it was still awesome. We had another pretty lively live chat. Let's check it before we get off the air here. Let me see here. I think that is the best match that Chris Jericho has had in AEW, and Moxley has been better this year, and he has throughout his progressing career. Yes, since Kevin Owens pop-up power bombs Ezekiel on the apron of the apron, do you think that's a way to write him off TV for him to come back and grow his beard back? It could be, yes. Let's say Samoa Joe does wrestle at All Out. Who would he wrestle? Pick two guys you think he should wrestle in a dream match. I'm thinking Eddie Kingston and Samoa Joe or Kenny Omega and Samoa Joe. Those would be dream matches, but Eddie Kingston's fighting Sammy Guevara, and Kenny's probably going to be in the trios tag finals with the Elite versus the Undisputed Elite. But eventually it wouldn't roll out. But I feel Joe may not be at All Out, though, sadly. I do eventually want to see, though, Samoa Joe versus CM Punk. That's who I want to see. Let me see here. Since Edge's contract expires this year, what if at All Out we get Jungle Boy and Luchasaurus versus Christian Cage and Edge? Oh, that would be awesome. I gotta be honest, you know, if Edge does all he wants to do in WWE, I actually wouldn't mind seeing him go to AEW. Personally, just because I think him and Christian should have one last run. Because again, we thought it would never happen. I honestly was hoping that would happen whenever Christian returned. Whenever Christian returned at the Rumble, like, I think that needs to happen. So honestly, if Edge does that, I'm cool with that. Remember this line in your past W streams? Why is Lana still here? Yes, I do. We got Dakota. MJF is WWE bound. He could be at this point now. You know, I feel like he has unfinished business with AEW, but I would be okay with him going to WWE if he does. Blood is coming back. We'll see, of course, if it happens to WWE or not. I have Roman as a WWE Championship in my Universal mode. Nice. Miro wants to leave and go back to WWE. So does Andrade and Black. Even Adam Cole want to go back now. Which, if they want to go back, again, I don't blame them. Like I said, AEW is doing fine. It's just that, again, they just have too much talent. But unfortunately, they're stuck there right now until their contracts expire. But we'll see, of course. Roman versus Rock is still playing for Mania next year, by the way. I'm hoping so. And you don't think Edge would leave WWE? We'll see, of course. And we have Lex Luger saying hello. Hello, Lex Luger. But I'm going to get off now because I do got to get up for work tomorrow. So, so yeah. I'm going to get off now. But guys, as always, we got a pretty lively stream. I think we had 37 views on this stream. Thank you, guys. Like I said, my streams have really been picking up lately. And that's because wrestling's been picking up a lot lately. So, again, it was definitely a good time for me to bring back my Raw and SmackDown reviews. I don't think I'll be able to review SmackDown tomorrow. But I will at some point, you know, this weekend. Or by Monday, I'll have SmackDown reviewed. But yeah, that's my thoughts on Dynamite's weekend. Gave it the B+. What are your thoughts on AEW Dynamite's Quake by the Lake? Were you surprised to see CM Punk return? Do you also think that main event match was a match of the year candidate? Let me know, guys, down in the comments section below. Be sure, as always, to slap a like on the video, subscribe for more content on my channel, and follow me on Twitter as well at DemandAirboy93. Until then, guys, I am checking out. I'll catch you all later. Have a great rest of your night, and peace out, everybody.